What's going on, everybody? RE Solutions here with this week's Tidbit Thursdays, and we're going to talk about. Hi. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
Hey. So this week we're going to talk about if you couldn't sell your property, why not put it up for rent?
Yes.
So
great options.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. So
let's get started.
Let's get started. What's going on? We're back. So I have been doing property management for close to 10 years now, well, over 10 years now. And one of the things that I've always noticed is that after the summer, that is when most property management companies will actually have an intake on property owners. And that's because individuals weren't able to sell their property during the summer
for whatever reason.
Either they were priced too high, not enough interest, whatever the case may be, but they couldn't sell, and they had to do something with their property, and they decided to put it up for rent. We call those, or at least I call those, default investors, and we have a lot of them, especially in the last company that we were in. Most of our owners were default investors, I would say. A lot of them were military individuals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can be in that position right now, being that we've been in a great seller's market the last year and a half. Things were selling.
Market shifted.
Yeah, things are selling, and now the market shifted, and things are slowing down a little bit. Interest rates are up.
Yep.
So buyers are kind of scared to buy. Obviously, prices have gone up on the properties. Mm-hmm. So a lot of shy buyers right now and stuff like that. So,
and with good reason.
Yeah. So
we're gonna go over the pros, the pros and cons of renting out your market. Okay, renting out your property. Your property. And so we're gonna go through the pros first, right?
Yes. Okay. So one of the biggest things is, to become an investor, do you love to play the game Monopoly, right? Because that's the game. When you're buying and selling homes and stuff like that, even though you may already have a home that you couldn't sell and you're going to place it on the rental market, is this something that you're going to fall in love with and then continue doing? Maybe buying more properties and continuing investing in yourself and in your family, basically, for the future and stuff like that. So
buy the block. Just buy the block, man. It always wins.
Don't worry about hotels, though. Stay away from hotels right now.
Just buy the block.
Too many taxes.
Yeah.
But
so next is my turn. Demand is still high in San Antonio. So in San Antonio, we always say this. We are military USA. We have so many bases here, hospitals. It's just we have so many
corporations.
Yes. We have so many industries, so many people moving into San Antonio every single day and the surrounding areas. So rental properties are always going to be in demand here in San Antonio. So, just depending, and then days on market are usually 30 to 60 days. So it's a really great market.
Yes.
And with that demand, obviously,
cash flow.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love cash flow? So cash flow can be a little deceiving because when a lot of times individuals hear cash flow when it comes to rental properties, and a lot of the TikToks of nowadays and YouTubers will make it seem like you can get thousands of dollars. That isn't always the case. It can range for some houses. $100 to $300 monthly can be your cash flow. And sometimes you might even be mildly in the negative. However, you've got to consider the equity that's going in by somebody else and the idea that someone else is potentially still paying 99% of that mortgage for you. And you're only coming out of pocket maybe $100. Not really a big deal in that regard, because at one point in time, you will be able to sell that home. Mm-hmm. And when you do, all of that money that this tenant has paid for you is now yours.
Yes.
So there's something to be said with that.
And I always like to tell owners the rent and the mortgage are going to be two separate things. Mm-hmm. Whatever you pay for mortgage doesn't mean that's what you're going to get for rent. You may get more, may get less. It's depending on what the market bears
Mhm.
and what people are willing to pay for that property. So our property, when we had it out for rent for the first 3 years, we were in the negative. We had to put in an additional $200 to $300 into our mortgage
Yeah.
to
Cover it,
make
yeah.
the payment.
But
now,
somebody's paying our mortgage for us,
right?
and so yeah.
And now we're in the positive. So cash flow is a big thing to know about. Of course,
Tax
taxes.
savings. Yes. Anything that and always talk to a CPA. We're not tax specialists. However, in our experience, when you put the maintenance in, if you do have a loss on the mortgage versus the rent, any type of upgrade you do when having a tenant, you can actually put that towards some tax relief.
Yes.
Write-offs for property management.
Yes.
You can write off depreciation on the property because it's a rental.
Mhm.
There's so many facets of being able to get tax breaks that you potentially might actually get money back or a larger percent back because of your rental property.
And I think it's better, at least from my opinion, because any rental income that you're getting is going to be counted against you as income,
Yes.
right? Even though you're paying it out to your mortgage company, it's still counted to you as income. So if you have any tax deductions as maintenance and stuff, that's going to lower that income for you. So it's going to help you out in the end.
But again,
and
talk
stuff.
to a CPA because you may even want to consider making an LLC for that property to
Mhm.
get some other tax benefits that a
Right.
company would have. But again, you want to talk to
A tax professional.
A
because
reputable tax professional.
yes,
Yes.
because you want to make sure that if you want to buy in the future, that you're not messing yourself up in the short term by claiming too much. So you definitely want to talk to a
Exactly.
professional.
Exactly. And then, Pumpy, you mentioned this before, is building equity. Obviously, as your tenants are paying the rent, you're paying the mortgage, your equity is growing, hopefully, in the property. And, eventually when you do want to sell it later on, you should have a pretty penny coming back when you sell it. So,
And not to mention just average equity. So average equity in a home, other than COVID year, which was insanity, and increased 20%. On average, it's anywhere between a 3 to 7%
Yeah.
increase annually, minus the COVID year.
So going back to the example of our house, in the beginning we were 300 every month, but then now if we really, we get calls all the time from the big boxes
Mhm.
wanting to, and if we wanted to, we could sell it and net at least 100,000, and that's just money that we would make. So yes, so you
good
can
little savings
you
for
can
the future too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can rent and hold for a little bit and then sell. So it's
Yes.
not like you got to keep it as a rental
Forever.
for the 30 years.
Yes.
You
Yes.
just it's a short term, maybe
And that's
2
what
to
most investors do, right? They buy it, they hold it for a few years, and then once the equity is up, they'll sell it, and then they'll buy another property with that money. So
Mhm.
All right.
So it
So
works
now
out.
we're going to go into
we're going to go into the kind of the
Cons.
cons, and,
Yeah.
and I say cons for rentals, and it's basically dependent on you as a person if you are willing to become a landlord, right?
Mhm.
So one of the biggest things is emotional attachment. If you are emotionally attached to this house, and I mean, like your kids grew up in this house, or you had parents living in this house or something, it's going to be very hard for you to just let go and have someone else living in your property, because you're going to want them to take care of the property a certain way, and unfortunately there's no guarantees in that.
Mm-hmm.
So emotional attachment to the house is very, very important, and you have to be able to let go.
Got to
So
detach yourself completely.
it's a business.
I don't care if
It's an
little Timmy's
investment thing.
growth marks are on the little
Yes.
doorway all
And
the way up.
I've had owners that have done that on the door and stuff like that, and they've taken out the door and taken it with them and replaced it because they wanted to keep that stuff. And that's cool if you can do that, obviously, but you just have to detach yourself, because now it's an investment property. It's
a business.
It's a business. It's
and
not.
yeah, and to add to that, like Pete said, a tenant is not going to take care of your house like you did, so
I'm not saying that they're not going to
Yes.
take care of the house.
no, but a lot of times they come back and they're like, oh my goodness, my house is being being a landlord and having a tenant in there, you have to have a different mindset.
Mhm.
And so we talk we talk with our owners about that and talk them through it. Who's on? Julia and who else? Oh yes. Okay. Okay. Next.
Hi, secret person.
Next.
So
Oh,
age of the property.
Age of the property. So this is going to come into play. For example, our home, one of our rental properties, Belinda and I own a rental property. It's coming. It was built in roughly 2000. So we're in 2022. There's various repairs that are coming due. An HVAC that will need to be replaced. A roof. Very thankfully, we had hailstorm, so we had a roof repaired using insurance by the hailstorm. But there are things that will come due for the property. So you need to be prepared, knowing that, as an example, carpet does not last forever. The appliances in the home, the refrigerator in the home, if you left the refrigerator in the home, it does not
Paint.
last 15 years.
The paint.
Paint does not last 20 years on the inside
It's
of the
funny
home.
because
Carpet.
obviously we've lived in our home since 2011, so it's been over 10 years, right? We've only painted once, and that was soon after we moved in, and we haven't painted since. But I know that if I would have to make that house a rental and remove all the stuff in the house, I would have to repaint. But
Yep.
it's that mindset. You start living in a property for so long, you don't think about painting.
Mhm.
But now, if you're going to make it a rental, you got to know that you're going to have to probably paint that property every 3 to 5 years,
Mhm.
depending on the use of it, what type of tenants are in there and stuff. So part of that is going to come towards the savings, see how much money you actually have.
So that you want to have a couple months of savings. One, to cover if anything goes wrong and your home is vacant, so you can cover your mortgage.
Mhm.
Two, any repairs that may come up, because even though it was working fine when you lived there, the water heater could go at any time.
Mhm.
You need to be prepared, and if you have the savings there, you don't have to stress about when those things happen.
Right.
You could just be like, okay, let's take care of it, and you
Yeah.
move on, and then you have a chance to replenish those savings through your rental.
Right.
And
And-
We- Go ahead. I was going to say we normally recommend anywhere between 3 to 6 months worth of
If possible.
funds,
If possible.
if possible. 6 months might be excessive for some individuals based on your situations, but at a bare minimum, 3 months worth. That way, you do not have to worry about any last minute.
Right. Because now you have another person living in there, right? A tenant living in there. So if something major goes out, you need to be able to cover that. Per the Texas Property Code, anyway, you need to cover anything that has to do with heating and water and stuff like that. So making sure that the house is healthy and safe environment for the
Yes.
tenants. And if you don't have the money to cover that, then you may not want to make it a rental at this time. So
and that which goes into the last point, which is we'll let you do it.
scared.
Don't be
You're just
scared.
You're scared to make your house a rental. You hear a lot of bad, things out there on the internet, TikTok, whatever, Facebook. Yes. So there is a risk to putting your house on the property for rent, right? You have that human
Factor.
factor
Yes.
about getting a responsible, reliable tenant in the property that's going to maintain your property and obviously pay you monthly rent and stuff like that. That's where the property management company comes in, right?
Mhm.
They're the ones that are going to help you find those good tenants, and it's still not a guarantee because property management companies, or if you do your own screening of tenants and stuff, basically you're just looking on paper, and you may talk to a prior renter, landlord or whatever, and they may give you some information, but you really don't know a person until they actually start living in there and stuff like that. So there's always a risk. 9 times out of 10, though, if a person is renting a property from a management company, they have been screened pretty well, and they will maintain the property a little bit more.
And the
than-
the management company should have really good procedures
Yes.
to ensure that that the tenant is upkeeping the property.
Yes.
Basically.
And then scared of just the cash flow, same thing. Are you going to
Mhm.
make enough money? How long is the house going to be on the market?
Mhm.
Is things, pretty much everything that we covered up there,
Yeah.
is things going to break on my house, things of that nature. You're just scared to do it. You know what? It's like stocks. right? If you put money in your stock in the stocks, you're taking a risk. But most millionaires have investment properties.
Mhm.
I will tell you that. So,
And the example I like to give is just like stocks. Stocks will steadily increase. You will have a dip in stock prices,
right.
and that dip in relation to rentals would be money having to be spent for repair. However, rent gets paid the next month. Equity continues to increase 3 to 7% annually, and you only had to shell out, let's say, $3,000. You gained $1,500 a month on your rental for 12 months. You still came out on top. Not to mention the tax benefits that were mentioned before,
Exactly.
and the continued growth of equity. You're still on the top end.
So obviously, us as a property management company, we want you to rent your property out if you couldn't sell it. So contact us and we can help you out. We can share some of our experience and just run some numbers and stuff like that for you and stuff. But yeah, it's ultimately your decision.
Yes.
If you want to either sell your house or if you have it on the market and it still hasn't sold, keeping it on the market and see how long it takes for it to sell. And obviously, this is the time frame that it's a lull, so it's going to sit there a little bit longer. Hopefully, it will get a contract before the holidays start, because once the holidays start, it really dips down until January, February timeframe. But if you're not willing to wait, I'll tell you right now, rentals are
still in need.
they're going
Huge demand for rentals
individuals
still.
that just don't want to buy right now but
Are gonna
have to
rent.
move are going to rent.
Yes.
They're going to rent, and they're trying to figure out, I'll rent for now for a year to see how the market is in the next year.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those, just let you know as well that interest rates are not going to go down anytime soon, and of course prices are not going to go down anytime soon. So interest rates will eventually come down, but not
the price.
but not the price. So if you're just thinking of waiting to buy a house because of that, you're not
Okay.
gonna.
Yeah.
So
What do we got for comments? Is there somebody that?
Somebody made a comment. That was Judy.
alrighty. So
Sorry, that was
all right.
a person
So-
we should not be talking about.
So yes, so thank you for joining our Tip It Thursday this week, and hopefully, once again, we're providing value to you. We will be back next Thursday with market stats, and we will see you next Thursday.
Awesome. Take
We'll
care.
see you next Thursday. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow us, and have fun.